Hello everybody and welcome back to another 12 rare run here on MTG Arena. I'm Corbin Hostler and this week we have another Strictly Better MTG deck. That's right, shout out to Dev. I'll tell you what, he gave me permission to use his decks and I'm off and running with it. I love them, they're perfect. And this week we have a budget deck in paper, $40 in paper, or exactly 12 rares here on MTG Arena. Blue-white Quasiduplicate. So this deck's pretty cool. Let's check it out, break it down here from the top. Definitely go check out Dev's video deck tech of it. Very good stuff over at his channel. But here's what we got. We've got, starting at the bottom, Adonto Vanguard. This is just an incredible 2-drop in standard. Just very good. Baffling End, again, this is just incredible removal against all the best 2-drops in standard. Pretty good. But now we start hitting our creatures, and you're going to see what our deck is doing. Merfolk Tricksters, Warkite Marauders, Militia Buglers, Exclusion Mages. You might notice a theme. We have some triggers. Some enter the battlefield triggers, both from the Tricksters, the Buglers, the Exclusion Mages, or, hey, this is a combat trigger, but it works. Everything here works with Quasiduplicate. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. Yeah, double Merfolk Trickster, double Militia Bugler. The value, it just goes on and on. That's why we've got Bishop of Binding here. Can exile a creature an opponent controls. Whenever it attacks, target vampire, including itself, can get +X/+X, where X is power of the exiled card. Ixalan's Binding, good enchantment here. Pretty good all around. It deals with a lot of stuff, planeswalkers, etc. Tempest Caller to tap all creatures. That's a pretty good one to copy. And Bishop of Rebirth. It gets to return creatures from your graveyard to play directly when it taps. Convert mana cost 3 or less anyway. So very powerful to get all these back. So that's the deck, everybody. We are going to abuse some enter the battlefield triggers here. Thanks to Quasiduplicate. Again, shout out to Dev, Strictly Better MTG, for providing the deck list. I'm within, I think, 2 cards here. We had to cut out, a third Warkite Marauder sort of thing. But this is the list. It's $40 in paper, 12 rares on Arena. Enjoy, everybody. Thank you for watching. We'll go ahead and jump into the games. Hey everybody, here we go with the gameplay for Quasiduplicate. Gonna jump into this constructed queue right here. Looking forward to this deck. I've been loving playing these dev decks, It's sort of this, you look at standard, and if you're someone like me who plays competitively, blah, 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 I look at standard and I see the top tier decks, the 5 or 6 decks that are at the top, and I say, hey, that's standard. But what I love about Dev's decks, and just sort of the community that he reaches out to, that he's there for, that maybe I don't know as well, is there's just this whole other metagame in standard beneath that top tier, and just because it's not winning a Grand Prix doesn't mean that's any less standard to a lot of people playing Magic. And Dev's decks are so good in that metagame, and it just so happens we're playing Arena, where that's what people do. People love to play like that on here. Anyway, so I just think the whole thing's pretty neat. Really enjoying the decks, enjoying what we've got going on here, and we'll see, of course, how this event goes. I don't know. Looks like my opponent might just be on mono green though, so that's a thing. But yeah, they can get in here. I'm just gonna play a Bugler this turn. Play it nice and slow-ish, I suppose. Good to note they have Bronted on here because we do have some of the enchantments and things, Ixalan's Binding, etc. that could hit. Oh my gosh, well it's a whiff there with the Bugler, but that's fine. The Bugler stonewalls the Branchwalker as a, just as a 2/3, and depending on what happens to this Jadelight Ranger, cast down in a forest. Okay, fair enough. Well, it'll at least be able to trade with this thing. So I'm hoping we can just kind of grind our opponent out by playing a bunch of Buglers and value creatures, etc., while, poking in there in the air here, but we'll see how it goes. Well, I can play 2 2-drops this turn, or I can play a Bugler and a tap land. Given that we have lands, I think it's probably going to be better to go for the 2 creatures, especially as it turns out I can turn this into a 1/2, meaning I guess it's the same. My opponent they have to double block, so it's still a trade, I suppose. It's working out the same, but works out pretty well for us all around. I could also do this. That wouldn't actually help. Okay, so we'll get in there. We'll do a 2 to them. Take out 1 creature. And now we will play 2 creatures of our own, one of which is going to be a surprise. So I think I'm okay with where things are at right now. And then after that, we can reload with Bugler. We'll have up to 5 mana. We'll be in a nice little spot now. Oh my gosh, my opponent has Mythics. All right, well, I haven't been playing Mythics. It turns out playing Mythics pretty good. This is gonna the whole plan I had for grinding our opponent maybe out the window a little bit here. Although Vivian killing our Marauder, downing itself to 2 is one of the only ways I think we can actually win here. And this will actually work out. We're going to move to the end of combat our turn, but we're going to tap down the Brontodon here, and we're actually going to get a kill Vivian. So, you know, this could look a lot worse. Oh my gosh, I can kill Vivian for free now. If I want to do this. Of course, they're going to get it back. I really want to use this on the Brontodon and not the Branchwalker. So I'm willing to probably just trade the Vanguard for the Brontodon, or for the Branchwalker here. This is great. No Quasi-Duplicates needed. Our deck's just cool. All right, so we have done it. We've taken that out. So that's a big step 1 here. Let's play Bugler and see where things go. Okay, Exclusion Mage it is, I suppose. Not playing that this turn, so we'll play our tap land. And just pass the turn here. So, you know, all in all, I would say things are in a pretty medium position here. Our opponent is certainly pretty far ahead on cards right now, but if those cards aren't particularly strong, and heck, for all I know, they're a black, you know, they're playing black, and yeah, look at that, there's a Woodland Cemetery. I mean, they just might not be able to play half those cards in their hand. Although now they do have black mana. I guess we knew about it already because we knew they have a cast down, so that's a thing we know is going on, but that's okay. In fact, it's good to know with our Bishop of Binding, because the problem, of course, is that they get back whatever we take away. Drawing all these lands is not exactly where we want to be either. Suppose I should bounce the Brontodon just for the sake of being the most efficient here, but honestly, we're in quite a bit of trouble. Well, the thing is, I also want to use the Bishop on the Wild Growth Walker, although that doesn't exactly make for a terrifying Bishop, but alright, so this is all pretty bad for us right now. We're trying to have fun, and our opponent's just playing the Black Ring Golgari deck that might be the best deck in Standard, and we're going to flood out on top of that. So, not a lot that we can do here. I suppose I can get in an attack. It's too bad. I think our deck, you know, is not that bad in the matchup. I think our deck, had we drawn, you know, better these last couple turns, we probably could have done quite a bit more. You know, as it stands here, we're in quite a bit of trouble. Our opponent has a cast down that we know about to kill our Bishop of Binding. Basically, we want our opponent to be out of removal after that, and we are going to untap and you know, play Bishop of Rebirth or something. But when our opponent brings back Vivian with the Eldest Reborn, I'd say that's just going to be lights out. They're playing a tier 1 deck in the 500 gold queue. That's not very nice. All right, show me my draw step here. That's not going to be good enough. We cannot beat the... yeah, I'm done. We can't beat the Eldest Reborn returning Vivian Reed next turn. They have the cast down. That game is just over. Which is too bad, because our deck was kind of playing kind of neat. I was enjoying it. But we'll give it another shot. Hey, and that's the thing. If you commit to playing a... not just... And we're doing even more than that. You know, this isn't just budget brews on Arena where I take the Golgari deck and I cut as many of the rares as I can. And, hey, it's a 12 rare deck. We're playing brews here. We're playing actual decks that somebody, mostly Dev, has worked on and got to them to a point where they can compete in Standard. And yeah, maybe sometimes your opponent playing the best deck is going to get you, but that's just the way it goes. I think we have to keep this as ugly as it is. I mean, the 7 was unkeepable with that many lands. The 6 here is pretty bad, to be honest. But if we hit a couple blue sources, we'll be okay. And on the draw with the Scry, I have to think it's correct to keep this, because just hitting an island in our first 3 cards allows us to have a actually pretty aggressive start, and then another blue source after that. We can Quasi-Duplicate, and we can throw away the Bishop of Rebirth even if we never get to 5 mana to Quasi-Duplicate again. So I think that it was a pretty reasonable decision here to keep this hand, but hopefully it'll work out. All right. Well, not yet, but I'll tell you what. We are going to the Vanguard. To the fort, I suppose. That's Adonto. Adonto is the first fort. I know this from the back of Legion's Landing, so that's where we're headed. That was a bad pun. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do to save that. I bow my head. I'm sorry. All right, so our opponent on this Tranquil Expanse here. Not sure what they've got coming up. I don't know what that means. Some sort of life gain deck, maybe tokens, green-white tokens. I'm not sure what the meta has kind of come to. Now that once they introduced ranked on Arena, all bets were off. Now everyone's grinding mythic status or whatever it's called on here. Everyone's trying to play all the best stuff, and our opponent, I guess, is just deciding what their second land is going to be. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll just time on out. A Reliquary Tower, huh? And a Dawn of Hope. Well, talk about cards we're not going to be able to beat. All right, that's a good start, though. To be honest, the planes here. We hit the plane, so maybe we can catch a break. And because this card will definitely beat us in the long run. I've seen this card take over far too many games in Limited to not think that it can take over a standard game. That said, oh my gosh, we're going to be in a racing situation right here. This creates a 1/1 with... That's so good. I'm baffling ending that thing. We just can't beat that. Obviously, it's very bad for us to take the turn off to play Baffling In instead of advancing our board. But that card, we're just never going to beat this deck. Adonto Vanguards beat a lot of decks in Standard, a lot of Tier 1 decks in Standard, but I don't think they beat the Martyr of Dust Dawn of Hope deck. That one seems pretty good against me. Okay, well, I guess that's something else I can get rid of here. And we hit a land. I can just attack into that, though. This is a turn we have to actually advance our board. Because our opponent doesn't even want to block here. The problem is just going to be beating the lifelink. And I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. But we do get in a little damage there. I can play the Marauder out here. I think this is correct to play the Marauder. It's not the most mana efficient. But, you know, obviously I wouldn't hate playing Quasiduplicate there, but Dawn of Hope, oh my gosh. This is going to get ugly very quickly. And that's why we just need to get in damage while we can. I'm going to end up quasi-duplicating the Warkite Marauder, because if we win this game, it's going to be attacking our opponent through the air. That's how we're going to do it. That said, if their two cards aren't removal, and you know what? That's a land. Not necessarily the best one, but it is a land in this situation. I'm going to attack, and this attack might work out pretty well for me. Because we get to turn this thing into an 0-1. My opponent does not have the mana they need to do anything with Dawn of Hope. So, you know, they're set up to go off next turn, but if they take 5 this turn and we make another Warkite Marauder, I don't know, that might not be enough. Going to be close, though. I mean, my opponent is also thinking about this Warkite Marauder trigger. I like that they have Guild Mages for him. It's a nice one. I mean, not that we've seen a multicolored creature cast yet, but card is neat. We do still have another Baffling In too to take whatever token they make. The problem, of course, being that token will, likely come on our instep, but looks like we're going to get in R5 damage here. That's really all I can ask for. And Magic Online. Magic Arena is pretty generous with these timeouts they give you. All right, so let's try to copy our Warkite Marauder here and hope that our opponent isn't just sandbagging removal. If they sandbagged removal and took that hit, more power to them. But yeah, as I expected, they weren't. So now all of a sudden we look like we're in a much better position. Our opponent's ready to start doing their thing here. This is a combo, but with 4 flying power plus the 3/1 Adonto Vanguard, and the Baffling In to hit the Marshal, or if they're gonna do this in their main phase, I'm just gonna hit the lifelink token and they're just gonna lose, I think. Even if they pay 2 here, they're just so far behind. Yeah, if I just Baffling In, and you know what, hitting a land there doesn't actually matter unless I want to play Bishop of Rebirth. But I don't, because I just want to win right now. I'm going to play Baffling End. I'm going to hit the token. I'm just going to remove the source of life gain from my opponent. And then I'm just going to get on in there for a bunch of damage. And, you know, it's 7 damage coming at my opponent. But more importantly, they just have no choice but to take it. They have nothing going on right now. I'm going to follow it up with another Adonto Vanguard. Then I might play my land. I probably will, I guess. We'll see. But I think we're actually going to be in an okay spot here. You know, my opponent has a symboled Voltron, so to speak, but it is very, very slow. And now I get to add another creature to the board. It's going to be very difficult for them. You know, if I draw a land, I can Quasiduplicate a Warkite Marauder. You know what? Maybe that's what I was supposed to do. Well, I couldn't do it that turn because I needed a Baffling End, I think. But I think we're in a good spot right here. I mean, the truth of the matter is if our opponent puts a creature into play, they try to repeat their trick from last turn. That puts them up to 4 life. Well, we have 4 flying damage, and that's... We also have the ability to make my opponent lose flying or reach blockers if that's the thing they have. We still have the Quasiduplicate if we need it. Bishop of Rebirth if we need it, although we don't have anything in our graveyard. But this is a conundrum for our opponent. They need to play, basically, they need to play 2 creatures so that, well, that's pretty much exactly what they needed, but it's not enough. Well, it might be enough. In fact, it very well may be enough. That is exactly what they needed. In fact, that's just kind of heartbreaking to see happen because we were doing so well. But now, if we had another blue source, that Trickster might work. Now I'm kind of having a hard time seeing how we win. Yeah, I can make him throw away a couple and get in some damage here, and that's what I'm going to do, but what happens if I Trickster one? And then, well, maybe this will work. Hold up. What if we Trickster one of them down? 2 of them lose their ability. That means my opponent can gain 2 life. They can go to 9. And they have... The thing is, they still have blockers, though, so they're still not going to die. So I have to save the Trickster, I think. I think I just have to attack with everything and pay 8 life here and just hope to dig out of this, even though that is... seems unlikely. And unfortunately, there's still 1/2s. Although they shouldn't have lifelink. Yeah, they don't have lifelink at least. And my opponent takes 4 in the air, which doesn't kill him. But yeah, I think I have to do this turn. But you know what? We have a plan to try to get back ahead on board here. We'll take 2 of them off the board. We'll put our opponent back down to 3, and we'll play a blocker at least. So, you know, my opponent I don't think is killing me here. The problem is now they just have so many cards in hand and so much mana that they can probably put together another pretty big turn here. Although, that said, Hunted Witness, not necessarily it. And that's what we want, is them playing Hunted Witness to try to dig. Oh my gosh. When Lena, Selfless Champion, enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white soldier creature for each non-token creature you control. So if you can get 2, sacrifice it. Creatures you control with power less than Lena's power gain indestructible until end of turn. That doesn't seem great for me. This is kind of stupid, to be honest. I definitely feel like we probably were supposed... I'm not even going to say we were supposed to win this game. This is just stupid. Props to my opponent, but why is it on my run here that all these games we're just losing dice rolls and then being 1 turn too late? We're just constantly 1 turn too late here, and that's probably the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. Well, let's see what we hit. I guess I always have outs, right? We have the Tempest Callers we've just never drawn. We have the Militia Buglers we've just never drawn. So I guess as long as I'm alive, I'm not dead, right? It's that simple, huh? Now, my opponent's giving me a shot. Not exactly. Well, I guess I'm just copying Bishop of Rebirth, and I'm just playing defense here. I don't think that playing Trickster is good, though. Just having a Trickster up is nice. I still don't know if anything we can do here leads to us actually winning the game. I think I'm going to have to Trickster. I don't think I can Quasiduplicate here. I think I have to Trickster. Our opponent is, I'd say, out of gas, but they're just not. The game's just, we really were this close in both games so far. We just haven't been able to get there. I mean, and the problem is they're never going to be out of gas because they can just pay 4 mana, start the chain up again. So I don't know. I think our only out is to not die, right? But then draw a Tempest Caller and tap their team probably next turn. I mean, I think we have. I mean, we probably have this turn to do it, right? We have one more draw step, I think. Just how unfortunate, right? That's all I can think here is just how close this was. We just couldn't quite get there. That's why I didn't attack him there, is because I didn't want to die to a camaraderie or something. Basically, I recognize that we just have to draw Tempest Callers, so I just want to try to prevent the big attack for as long as possible. Present the most threatening board. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe I'm supposed to poke him there again, but want to play defense as long as possible, I think. Because it doesn't take much. I mean, we have one card that gets us out of it. I can't ever find that card, but we have it. And now I'm in the same boat where I can Trickster or Quasiduplicate. I'm going to go for the Quasiduplicate this. Can I attack with Marauders here? Because I don't want my opponent to gain so much life they're just out of range if we do draw her out. I just can't believe I can't find a Bugler or anything to try to dig us to this. So I think we're going to have to just Quasiduplicate probably the Bishop of Rebirth. And it all feels so bad. But I think that's where we're at. Both of these games have just been heart wrenching, and very possible that I've played wrong in one or both of them. I think I probably made some mistakes last game. This one I don't know about. The most questionable thing is obviously the attacking, and I'm going to get in there this turn with one of them. Is we just have to, we have to have the ability to actually kill them. So, I don't know. I could have dealt, I guess, 6. The thing is, no amount of attacks with these two over the last 2 turns. We're going to kill them this turn, which is what we would have needed, because they're going to crack back here on their next turn, and it's just going to be devastating. And I think we're going to die, but at least if the board is a mess and we don't have, we're not pressuring them to where they have to swing all out, we open up the possibility they might misplay. Basically, if I determine that, we're not going to win with the Warkite Marauders before our opponent kills us, then now my win condition is drawing Tempest Callers, and that means my Tempest Caller has to be lethal, which means I need them at a certain life total, but I also need my board. So by keeping the board, full and just a bunch of stuff, and my opponent, more importantly, not feeling like they're pressured because they don't know we have that card in our deck, then they're not going to do the, well, I'm dead next turn, may as well do it, turn everything sideways, at which point we know that we lose. So, if my opponent's happy to dirtle around with this and gain some life and draw some cards, every turn that happens is a turn that we can draw our way out of the game. And there's a lot of different lines, and maybe I wasn't ever even supposed to play that Quasiduplicate. Maybe I was supposed to play that land so we could try to go, Bugler into Tempest Caller if we hit another land or something, right? I don't know. That's the determination I made, but I didn't fully think it through, and I don't even know if it was a correct determination. But if my opponent was at 4 life here, you can guarantee that they'd be attacking us, and we would be in a pretty terrible spot. They should do is probably just throw their soldiers. If they were going to, make stuff to tokens that draw cards, they should have just swung their soldiers and gained some life. But as it stands, fingers crossed, again, we got a shot. Not much of a shot, but a shot. Oh, we can't get there, though. Well, I don't think there's much we can do here, but I guess I'll crack in again. And see, it's also, just for the record, it's deceiving that we're in the game. You look, oh, well, if you had just dealt 6 more damage, now you'd have them. But that's not true, because my opponent has these lifelink tokens. We can't do anything about it. And if things were ever to actually get threatening for them, they turn them sideways. So I just want to try to keep their life total within range of us one-shotting them. That said, I think we might have lost. I think the last chance I'm going to have is to Trickster down their Leon and War Leader. Hope that they dirtle for one more turn and then draw it. I think we're probably finally down to our last straw. Eventually my opponent's going to figure it out and just turn them all sideways. But, hopefully I've shown what you can do is in a game like this where you otherwise wouldn't have life, play to your outs. Sometimes you get there and it feels great, and sometimes you don't, and that's magic. But you got to give yourself a chance to win, and that's what we're trying to do right now. And as it stands, heck, my opponent is for sure giving me an opportunity, because look at all the dirtle. The Celestia Signet, are you kidding me? Where was that earlier when we almost had him dead? Alright, well, I'll Trickster the War Leader on combat. Hope that that's enough of a deterrent. It shouldn't be. They have Alina. I mean, this is not this complicated, but I'm going to, until we're dead, I'm going to try. It would be something. It would be nice, Those are those things that keep you going in Magic. Most of the time it doesn't work out, obviously. You go, oh, that's Magic. But sometimes, very rarely, occasionally, do you get paid off, and it feels very good. That said, our opponent seems to have figured it out, which just seems horrible for us. So we'll block the lifelinkers, I suppose. These represent more power. All right, so I put the Trickster in front of the Lena. How much am I taking right now? I just can't even tell because of this. MTG Arena does not do big boards well. I think I have to do this. I think that I'm taking 3, 9, plus 6, 15 right now. Which means I'm probably just dead no matter what I do. Is that how this works out? I'm not blocking Lena right now. All right, what happens if I throw this in front of Lena? I want to block with Tricksters because I can return them. Alright, so what am I taking right now? I'm taking this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm taking all 3 of these, so that's 6 more. 11. I just have to block with everything, huh? Does this even keep me alive? Okay. Let's change this to block this. Let's put this on this. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Sorry, this is not easy with this. Okay. I want to eat things I can eat. I want to eat the lifelink ones, but I might have to eat a little more here. Okay, so currently coming through is Lena. I'm currently trading with this. Lena's coming. Lena's getting chump blocked. So I'm taking 1, 2. We're eating that. So 1, 2 plus 6 is 8. Plus a bunch more still, huh? All right. So what does this look like? The Hunted Witness is 1, 2. Oh my gosh, and then I ran out of timeouts. Well, I guess we're going to find out how much damage it is. Unfortunately, I think it's lethal. And I think I needed to line up one more block. Yep. Guess we're never going to know. Ran out of time. Yep, that is the one downfall of MTG Arena right now. It just doesn't do complicated board states well. But hey, I got a reward. All right, well, let's see if we can get a win with this deck here. They've been good games, so I'm not sad for recording, but it would be nice to get a win. I wish that when you move to blockers or something like that, it would line up everything that's blocked on the left and everything not blocked on the right. Instead, it makes all the wavy lines, and yeah, I couldn't even tell how much damage I was taking there. I go first? I guess I'm going to keep this hand. Seems kind of iffy, but we'll give it a shot. I don't know. I feel like we haven't. We've been in all the games we've played, but we haven't got lucky in either of them. In fact, we've gotten unlucky, where it's just getting a tiny bit lucky would have got us there. And we were even short of draw last game because I couldn't see. Although, likely my opponent would have had enough life, it wouldn't have mattered. Hey, look at that. We might get to eat this Land of War Elves. Would be nice. Hey, it worked. We did it. Don't attack into 2 blue mana. Apparently, we're just up against Black Green again. We're just against all the best decks only this time around. And that makes sense considering we're going to not get our colors to play. I've never been salty. Don't worry. I'm just kidding. That said, they play Wild Growth Walker. I mean, we're basically not going to beat this deck when we have a pretty poor start, to say the least, and our opponent does not. Oh, they just did nothing? That's interesting, but I think I just have to play all my creatures here. It just means they have removal open. So we'll get in for damage. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about the mana. That's just magic. And my opponent even took it. No fear over there. Didn't play just no fear. Didn't play the Wild Growth Walker. Didn't use removal. Yeah, they're going to Chupacabra us. This is going to get ugly very quickly. If you play a bunch of tier 1 decks and you draw poorly and get unlucky, can't draw your mana, you're going to have a bad time. I think the deck's a little better than what it's showing here, though. I do believe that to be true. All that said, you know what? Maybe we'll catch a break. We'll hit a plains here. We'll play Bishop Rebirth and our opponent won't have anything. We'll return Trixus for days. You know what? We can always be hopeful. Our opponents finally decided to play Wild Growth Walker. The black-green deck is just so good. You know, I don't know if it's Drake's or White Aggro, whatever deck that beats it. Well, that is just so disappointing. The namesake of the deck coming back to get me here. And I could Baffling in something here. I'd like to see if we can hit something a little better. I don't know. I don't think we have many outs here. I want to trade with the... Yeah. Their deck is just loaded with too much value. It's just too good. It's cast down on top. Very unlucky. No blocks on that one, that's for sure. Come on, game. Not fair. Hey, I get to make a copy. We did it. We quasi-duplicated something. I mean, we're living the dream here, right? Now it's just too bad. We were so close in these games. And I don't know if my opponent had removal or not for our bishop if we'd played it, but they do have a Vivian Reed. I guess that's just the way it goes. I mean, I can quasi-duplicate to attack Vivian, I guess. Won't even kill it. It'll take it down to 2. Carnage Tyrant, yeah. Black-green is such a good deck. Good for them. All right, well, Bishop of Binding, huh? I can play it, get it killed just to have them. I'm done here. Good games. It is very unfortunate that we went 0-3 here. This deck was pretty sweet. You know, I think if I were to run it through some more, we'd have some success. So, you know what that means. Well, first, I'm going to take these prizes. Heck yeah, those are valuable uncommons. I'll take them. But that means we're playing another game here. We are going ranked. I've been playing a little bit of ranked. I won't lie. Let's do it. Blue-white Quasiduplicate in ranked play. I think I'm in Silver Division 4. I just got started. I have these decks. I have these 12 rare run decks. I haven't built, you know, a tier 1 standard deck or anything like that. I've got what you're seeing me play with because I'm not trying to cheat the system and, you know, go grind my way up with other stuff. So I'm going to play this hand. I'm going to keep this hand. And we're going to see if our deck wants to work with us here. We did lose the dice roll, so that's not ideal. And remember, keep in mind, you know, I'm working with the somewhat arbitrary limit of 12 rares, right? But if you look at this deck and decide, hey, I love this deck. This is what I want to build. Hey, look at that. Nice draw. I'm going to do this. Well, you know what? Maybe you have more than 12 rares, right? It's a little different. I'm showing you the baseline. And the goal is to have something that's accessible to the most people. But heck, that doesn't mean that you don't, you know, this isn't the deck for you and you want to upgrade it and you put your 4 Glacial Fortresses in, and when Ravnica Allegiance comes out, you put your 4 Hallowed Fountains in and call it a day, right? And, you know, a lot of our games probably would have gone quite a bit different if our mana had been just a little bit more consistent, you know? So that's just something to keep in mind, that there is a path to upgrading here, you know, even if you don't love what you see, so to speak. As you can see, I think how close we are. And I think that, you know, that's really one of the important things here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to play aggro here. I'm going to get rid of this Llanowar Elves with his Baffling End. And then I'm going to attack my opponent. And heck, I'll probably pay the 4 life. Our opponent playing Saprolines or something here. That seems better for us, right? Seems like maybe a matchup where we're going to have a little bit better of a time. Then again, of course, it's kind of funny that Saprolines are just insane against the Danto Vanguard. But we'll see what we can do here. Yeah, it is actually funny. Those Saprolines are extraordinarily good against the Danto Vanguard. Fortunately, not quite as good against our Merfolk Trickster. Please attack. Please attack with this Saproline. Because the thing is, our 2/2, you know, while the 1/1s are very good against the Vanguards, our 2/2s are actually pretty good against the Saprolines here. And the Tricksters are kind of exactly what we want to facilitate that, to force some of those awkward blocks. So even if we are paying 4 life, we're getting in for damage as well. And you can see that's what's happening here. And now I just get a free roll right here. I get to Bishop of Binding away a Saproline. And I say free roll, I mean, the Bishop of Binding is not going to get any bonus. We just paid 4 mana for a 1/1 removal spell. But that's fine for a multitude of reasons. One, it enables us to get in damage this turn with our 2/2 so that they can't trade. But it also means that we can quasi-duplicate it next turn and get another trigger. And that second trigger might be worth, you know, sort of having a dead one on the first go-around. But we'll see, of course, because with another Yavimaya Shepherd, I might just be happy trickstering here. And just swinging. I mean, just swinging with the Bishop. If it dies, it dies, whatever. Depending on what they do, of course. Spore Crown Thallid, huh? Well, that's a pretty good one. Well, that changes things a little bit. That said, if I hit an island, I can play the island and play Quasiduplicate and Trickster here, which means I could Quasiduplicate the Exclusion Mage to bounce the Thallid and then have Trickster to tap things down. That would lead to a pretty large attack. Let's see what we hit. Oh, we just hit another Quasiduplicate, huh? Well, you know what? I'm down for this too. I'm just going to Quasiduplicate the Exclusion Mage here. And we're just going to bounce the Thallid. Sorry, the Spore Crown Thallid here. tempting to block the token, but I need to get the most off here. Alright, I'll swing this in here. If my opponent wants to take the damage, that's fine. I guess. I mean, I also kind of misclicked and just attacked all anyways, but I think this is fine. Although, man, oh, the misplays. I just misclicked like crazy there, messed myself up. It might still be okay, though. Might still be okay. Ooh, my opponent's getting aggro here? Okay. There's a Bishop of Rebirth we can't play. But what I can do is play Quasiduplicate on the Exclusion Mage here. We can bounce the Omnivore. Honestly, I might not have had the 3 life to pay for the... Man, maybe I could have played this game very differently, though. I don't know. I don't think I've played it particularly well here, but I do get to get in with, I guess, just one creature. And I probably should have gotten in with 2. We'll see what my opponent wants to do here. I mean, this isn't necessarily great for them, because we still have Quasi-Duplicates. What is that? Oh my gosh, I get a basic land card? Thank you so much. Does it come into play untapped? That would be insane. Okay, tapped at least. That was very helpful, though. And I got that blue source instead of that white source, but I think that's fine, because what I want to do right here is try to win the game. I want to chump block one of these. I want to take 3, go to 3. I don't know if I'm going to win here. We'll see. Exclusion Mage, huh? I can Exclusion Mage the Thallid Omnivore. I can Trickster the Old Growth Dryads. Oh, this game's going to be close. All right, let's see here. If I Exclusion Mage the Dryads, and I Trickster the Omnivore, is that good for me? Then I attack with these 3. My opponent has to trade. Then I have 2 blockers for 3 attackers, though. So that's no good. Right? Which means I'm just going to have to Exclusion Mage and then Trickster it on their combat or on the instep or something. Actually, on their combat's pretty good, so let's give that a shot. I do have timeouts here. Let's think this one through a little bit. If I Exclusion Mage the Old Growth Dryads, Trickster aggressively, attack with everything, it forces a trade, it puts them down to 1, but then they have 3 creatures against my 2 blockers. Although these would only deal 2 damage at that point. So would that work? Exclusion Mage the Dryads, Trickster the Omnivore. It has to be a Sapperling, which they do not have. So I get to get rid of these, attack. That forces a trade, at which point they untap and have a 3/3. This is in hand. They have 2 2/2s on top of that. And then we just hope they don't draw removal. I think that that's what I'm going to do. It's a very aggressive line, but I think it might work out. It also means our opponent will be replaying the Old Growth Dryads, and I can go get a Plains for my Bishop Rebirth if I end up wanting to go that direction. You know, alternatively, I could play the game much safer. I could just attack. I could just pass. I could get the turn back. And when my opponent attacks, I can mess up their blocks. But you know what? I'm going to be aggro here. I'm going to make my opponent have it, so to speak. And it gets this Spore Crown Thallid off the board in the best way possible. I think it ends with me going to 1 life. Well, yeah, that's fine too. Actually, this was... Did my opponent just kill themselves? They just killed themselves. They weren't dead. And now they are. We did it! Alright, we got there. Well, that was something. They weren't dead. I don't know if they thought they were going to gain life or what, but they could have taken another turn. They could have taken another turn for sure at 1 life and actually forced us to make blocks and go down to 1 ourselves, but I think we would have then untapped into lethal, barring what they drew. But hey, We got there. That one was good. And you know what? It was so fun. I'm going to play another. I don't like going 0-3. I'm not into that. So, oh my gosh, this hand is so unbelievably bad, though. We go first. I love Ixalan's Binding, but not what we need. I guess this is similar, but at least this one has a creature in it. Alright, Warcape Marauder is good. So, it's actually, we're going to work out okay. Now we can go 2-3 and have Quasiduplicate. So, depending on what our opponent's playing here, we might have a good chance. And we're not going to have mana problems this game like we've had the other games, at least. It would seem. Our opponent playing... Ooh, Bugler was so good there because Exclusion Mage is so bad there, and our opponent probably on control. They might not have anything anyways. But just hitting a creature to get us more creatures right there, pretty important, regardless of anything else. I mean, I think Militia Bugler just became my #1 Quasiduplicate target because the only way I'm going to win is just have more creatures than my opponent has removal. Assuming that is, you know, what they're playing, and I kind of think it is. Some sort of blue-black control-y deck, you know. A second treasure map, huh? Alright. Well, if we're going to draw all these bad cards, I'm just going to Quasiduplicate Militia Bugler forever and try to find some better ones. Yep, Merfolk Trickster, get on in here, please. And we'll get in for 4 damage. I mean, this is really all we want to do. This is kind of the best way we can do it even, is to get creatures onto the board that are just going to poke at our opponent's life while still having gas in hand to the biggest extent we can. And with our opponent just digging very hard in their upkeep with these treasure maps. Now, they're going to start... It's going to start paying off next turn for them, but, you know, look, we get them down to 8 damage here. Or, I'm sorry, to 8 life. I'm probably just going to Quasiduplicate another Militia Bugler. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're really going to put the pressure on our opponent to find a way out of it. Although I can't Trickster if I do that, but I think that's fine, to be honest. I'm going to discard this Baffling End. At least the Bishop can hit anything for a turn. And we hit an Adanto Vanguard, which is, spoilers, the perfect card in the situation. Because even my opponent has, say, Ritual of Soot now, which would be the scariest card. You know, them making a bunch of treasure with these maps, etc., playing Ritual of Soot. Well, we can make this thing indestructible at least, and that is a start to getting out of this game. I still think, even after all of this, we might be on the back foot. You know, I could easily see us being on the back foot right now. So... You know, I like what our opponent digging in their upkeep here is what we want. But if it is Ritual of Soot, I suppose at least they have to spend treasures on it. But it is still just going to turn the game in such a hard way, and that unfortunately looks like exactly what's going to happen here. So, all right, we'll turn the Adanto Vanguard indestructible. That's step 1. So we still get in for some damage this way. Well, that's not what we wanted. Yeah, unfortunately, this looks like this might be another game in which we get very, very close just to come up short. But if we're lucky, our opponent will, they're nowhere near the Search for Ascanta, but if we're lucky, they just have Doom Whisperer or something, you know, or even Dream Eater or whatever the big the big finisher is for them, because we have lethal on the table. As you know, as unimpressive as these creatures can be, this is 5 damage. So if our opponent's answer here is creature based at all, our Trickster is going to get in there. And if it's destruction based, oh, this is so bad for them. They're drawing a card. I mean, that's fine, but that's not a good sign if they're having to dig for anything here. But our Vanguard can become indestructible, and the Trickster coming in at the end of turn at instant speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, no. Compass? That's what's going to get me here? The Compass is what's going to get me? All right. Well, our opponent has a Mazavith. Fair enough, I suppose. Let's get on in there. Do we get him for 4? Is that what's going to happen? Alright, our opponent's making mana. What are they going to do here? All these games have been so close, even the ones we lose. Oh, they've got a Contempt, huh? Well, Contempt there was pretty much the card that wins them the game, I think. We flooded out here at the end. You know, I knew exactly what we needed to do to have a shot in this game. And it was just have enough gas for these turns right here where our opponent's turning the corner. And we just did not quite have it. And now things are in trouble. Our opponents they're going to transform Ascanta. They get to draw cards. It was, of all things, the Spires of Orazca Mazavith that's going to get them there. Very close, though. You know, if we had turned up, if our buglers had found, you know, say we found another bugler or something a little more resilient here, just even more Danto Vanguards would have been huge. All right, there's another Ritual Soot. So I guess at least our opponent is out of... I mean, they're out of treasures now, but they're about to activate Ascanta. And, you know, I think everyone... You all know as well as I do, Ascanta, as soon as that thing is activated, that spells the end of the game pretty much. So I'll give this another draw step here. Maybe they get greedy and play creature and we Bishop of Binding it, but we're pretty dead. Sweet game, though. You know, change 1 or 2 draw steps here or there, and instead of going 1 and 4 with this deck, we go 3 and 2. It's just that close. Wow, my opponent just no fear playing the Immortal Sun, huh? They didn't mill 1 to transform Search for Ascanta. They're playing the Immortal Sun, and they're willing to just take the turn off to dig. If only I had a giant growth in my deck to punish them, right? I don't, for the record. Heck, I wonder if I should just play this Bishop of Binding 3 turns ago. I don't know. What? This is just far too many transform lands. Oh, well, that'll do it for sure. All right, good games. Well played. Everybody, another land anyways. Thank you for watching. This is 12 Rare Runs. I'm Corbin Hostler. It's a Strictly Better MTG deck. Dev, I'm sorry I couldn't do you better this week. We've had a lot of success the last couple weeks with these decks, and this one was just so close. Either way, everybody, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for watching. Check out the deck. It's a $40 build in paper budget deck. You can do it for 12 rares or less on Arena. Everybody, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.